Welcome to the Anglo-Italian pod. It is, of course, time for our Euro 2024 previews. And this time, it's the turn of Les Bleus and France, the one of the teams I'm scared of the most. And to discuss all things France, we have friend of the show, Jeremy. How are we doing, man?
Very good, Roy. Thanks for having me again. Pleasure to be on the Anglo-Italian pod as usual.
Mate, absolutely love it. It's been a while since we talked. It was pre World Cup, heading
Mm-hmm.
into what was a pretty exciting tournament, but ultimately disappointing for France. How do you feel looking back on that tournament now?
Yeah, look, I was telling everybody we would win that World Cup, and I thought we were there. And if I had my conspiracy hat on, I'd say everybody wanted Messi to win, and so they made it happen. The powers that be. But I think we had probably one of the most amazing World Cup final we've ever had,
Mm-hmm.
with a crazy scenario and two generational talent facing each other. So I think we were treated to a very good World Cup. The football was great, despite whatever else was going on the side, being in Qatar, etc. So I'm hopeful for this Euro. You'll see that I'm a bit less confident in my bleu this year.
Well, we'll have to see why. We'll have to see why. Let's move on with the first question and let's go for the man in charge. It is, of course, still Didier Deschamps. How do people feel about him at the moment? Obviously, post World Cup, France didn't really like. How did the qualification go? How do people feel about him at the moment?
I think that the general confidence, there's a feeling of he just wins, he just gets France
Mm-hmm.
where it needs to get. We know that we have some players that are not in form, but everybody says sure they're about to spend 1 month with Deschamps and then they'll just be ready for when it matters. So I think there is that general feeling of confidence. I think it took some people by surprise, the fact that he kept going after the World Cup. He's been here for 10 years now, and we thought it was probably time with Noël Le Gret, the president of the FFF, getting the boot. We thought Deschamps was
Mm-hmm.
getting the boot as well. Zidane was just on the side waiting to see if he could get the team to himself. But he decided to keep going. And I mean, who would blame him? He sort of started himself a bit of a rebuild and a new era in the team during the World Cup. I think I hope it's not going to be the one too many tournaments for him. He's been exceptional for France so far. There is a feeling of confidence. I think it's probably going to be his hardest tournament because
Mm-hmm.
he used to have a starting 11 that was done and dusted, that was starters in every club, in the best clubs in Europe as well. And this year, that's not what we have. So that's going to be a real challenge for him. And we know he's a leader. We're going to have to see if he has what it takes to remotivate a team that probably lacks a bit of that confidence that we had in the past couple of competitions.
And as you said, with the squad, he's got a few decisions to make in terms of who's starting. We're going to get onto the squad properly, but just very quickly, with my Arsenal hat and shirt on, why does he hate William Saliba so much? It blows my mind that he's not playing at centre back regularly for France. I know the competition is fairly competitive, but with the seasons that Saliba has under his belt now, he has to be starting, right?
It's Deschamps has his faces. It's no secrets. You got a guy like Pavard who would start forever and ever.
Mm-hmm.
Giroud is another example. Up front, you would think that the guy would always be a starter, even though he's been put on the bench here and there. More than his faces, I think Deschamps has his uh, I guess he has the way he wants to play is the way he wants to play, and he has his own little idea of that's what a centre back should be, that's what a right
Mm-hmm.
back should be, that's what a left back should be. Same for the midfield three, etc. So he is surprising us, year in year out. Putting Griezmann as sort of a number 8 was a surprise. Giving the keys to the left side to Theo Hernandez, where usually
Mm-hmm.
we had 4 centre backs doing the back four. But then again, he also loves a team that he's seen playing before together, and he loves to be able to say, "This back four, I've seen them play 3-4 times. I don't have to explain to them again what I'm after,
Mm-hmm.
even if they sometimes didn't perform well in the past. I know what I want them to be, and during the tournament, I know I'm going to be able to trust them." To me, that's the reason why Saliba hasn't started. It's not to say that he might not start right now, but also he doesn't have, it's hard to say. It doesn't have the quality that Deschamps requires. I mean, Saliba,
Mm-hmm.
to me, is the best centre back that we have. in the French national team. But Deschamps likes his two centre backs not to necessarily be able to actually play football well. He just wants them to be, just shot stoppers and forward stoppers, and to use a few easy words. Somebody who's hard on the man, somebody who stalls, somebody who can be strong in set pieces defensively. To me, Saliba has all that, but Saliba maybe shines more by his ball playing ability. Deschamps doesn't want that. He doesn't need that. He's got his midfield to do that. So I think it's just he just doesn't really fit the Deschamps cases, and Deschamps loves to have his little players in boxes. So to me, that's the reason. Again, it's not to say that he's not going to get his shot. Theo Hernandez was never going to get a shot in the French national team, and then Lucas got injured and he played the whole World Cup well. So Saliba could have a shot. I don't think he is the starting centre-back, but it just takes one good friendly for Deschamps to sometimes change his mind. So there is hope. He's not. I don't see him being the main starter.
Well, fingers crossed for William Saliba, because, well, you can imagine how much I love that man. But let's move on to the ones to look out for in the squad. Now, in terms of selection headaches, I feel like the goalkeeper spot is really up for grabs, and this is quite interesting. So there's Areola, Maignan, and Brice Samba. Now, Maignan has had another difficult season with Milan, again interrupted through injuries. Areola, definitely a difficult season at West Ham, one of the worst defenses in the Premier League. Is the Brice Samba... Now, they played Arsenal in the Champions League. I remember he looked fantastic. He was fantastic at Nottingham Forest. Do you think he's the goalkeeper that should be getting the number one spot? Do you think Deschamps will give it to him?
I think Maignan starts unless he's injured. And I think Deschamps decided that back when Lloris was still number one, just based on Maignan's season at Lille and then his first season at AC Milan. Now, as you said, Maignan didn't have the best season this year. There was a few injuries. Just then, he didn't go to Australia to play with Milan, so he could get a few more days of rest and be with the French national team early. So we're not 100% sure that he's got match fitness for when the competition starts. But he is the starter. I think Areola is there because he's a third goalkeeper that is not going to complain of being a third goalkeeper. And Samba is maybe the one that can challenge Maignan. But, if you think Maignan didn't have a good year, Samba had a pretty terrible year with Lens. Again, on the back of a fantastic season last year where he led Lens to Champions League qualification. So for once, this is not as nice as it used to be. We had a number one Lloris, a number two Mandanda for 10 years, and there was nothing that could challenge it. Right now, it might feel from the outside that Maignan might be in a bit more in a fragile position, but if Maignan can play, Maignan will play. Deschamps wants Maignan to be the goalkeeper for the next 8 years, so he's going to give him, his first start. It's going to be his first big competition with France as well. So he's going to want to show him that he trusts him, that he's got all the confidence of the coach to be able to hopefully do a good Euro.
Nice. And then if we look through the rest of the squad, I don't want to read out the names because it's just terrifying, but the midfield, Camavinga, Fofana, another incredible player, Tchouaméni, Zaire Emery. Like, if you look at a player like Zaire Emery, do you expect him to have an impact here? Will he get much of a shout? Because for PSG, obviously, I only really watch the Champions League, but every time I've seen him, he looks incredible. Is he a player that you think this could be a breakout for him?
I think he's not planned to play many minutes. I think, Deschamps has his team in his mind, and, to quickly go through it, I guess maybe for the listeners, the midfield three will be Tchouaméni, Rabiot, and Griezmann. Kanté is there to bring his experience in case, Tchouaméni or Rabiot don't perform. Fofana, had some good games with the French national team, so he could be there or thereabout. Then you sort of say that you're not playing Camavinga, which is huge. The guy play for Real Madrid. So then when you got Zaire Emery, I think Deschamps likes to bring a couple of youngsters. It's the case with Barcola as well, to just show them what playing a big competition with the French national team is, for that they can be ready in 2 years. If you ask my opinion, I thought it would have been better not to take them and to let them go and play the Euro, but maybe the Olympics, but maybe the club said they're not going to play the Olympics because we need them to be back at the club, so you can take from the Euro instead. The front three, same thing, is sort of done. You have Giroud, Mbappe, Dembele most likely, or maybe Colomwani. So then players like Barcola, players like Thuram, Coman, if he's not injured, they might get a shout, but I think he's got that starting 11 done. So when we talk about the one to look up for, of course, if Zaire Emery gets any minute, I think anybody who hasn't seen him play is going to be amazed by what an 18-year-old can do at this level. I mean, the guy just got his high school exam, his baccalaureate right now, and he almost had to like ask permission to do it in September so he could go to the Euros. It's to tell you how old the kid is, and same for Barcola up front. But I think they're there to just sort of like absorb it all, and this is what a big competition for the national team is. You guys are the future of the national team. See how it feels like, and then you'll be ready next time. And I feel maybe the same way about Saliba. I mean, he's played every single game with Arsenal, so it's weird to put him in that category. But I think for Deschamps, you're going to have Koundé on the right and Upamecano and Konate in front, in centre back, and on the left Theo Hernandez, because Lucas Hernandez is injured. Otherwise, it probably would be Lucas. And then he'll have his back four done, and anyone else will maybe get some minutes. Jonathan Klaus, if you need a wing back, can take the right maybe. And maybe Saliba get a chance, but everybody else just stays on the side and look at it. So I think it's an interesting one as far as like the ones to look for. Who's going to have a great tournament? Most likely Antoine Griezmann. He shines with the French national team otherwise all the time. Sorry, he didn't have the best season with Atletico Madrid, but I think he had a better second half of the season than first half, so he's coming in form. To me, he's a little bit like what Pogba used to be. Doesn't matter if he's good in club or not. When he comes in the French national team, he just explodes, and he usually hits his form at that time. Of course, we can talk about Kylian Mbappe. You have to look out.
You need to mention him at least, I think.
Yeah, I mean, he's been heavily criticized this season. Bit of a, I don't know if it's a tall poppy syndrome in France, or the fact that he's living on the free and that we're not going to have him in Liga anymore. But he's been heavily criticized for what he's done on the pitch, what he's done off the pitch. I think he's probably looking forward to playing with the French national team, where everybody is going to be behind him, where he's going to feel that love again a little bit, and where he's going to be able to A, enjoy that, B, excuse my French, but shut the people up that have been saying that maybe he's not good enough, or maybe he's not performing well, and have a great Euro himself. So, they're the easy ones, but I do think that we can look out for them. I kind of want to put a bit of money on Giroud. The World Cup was probably his best tournament with the French national team. Now we're looking at his last tournament with the French national team. You think the guy is going to want to impress? Of course, he's a player who takes one or two defender whenever he's in the box. If he gets the ball when it matters, and if he can build this confidence, he could have a great competition. He's not 20 years old anymore. So, once we're going to go into the important games, who knows if he can be in the starting 11, knowing that he can't do the same efforts for 90 minutes. But I think, they're the easy names to put out. But I think we can expect those players to lead the team. That, that 11 that I just said, a lot of them aren't necessarily starters or didn't have the best season. We're not seeing the 2021 team coming, or the 2022 team coming, where they were all doing amazing things in their club. So I think those three leaders are going to be needed to make sure France performs.
Well, that's a perfect segue onto the final question, really. How far? It's almost like we planned it. How far will France go, and what would be considered a successful tournament? Now, I'm expecting that most people in France are expecting to win it, but how do you feel about going into this tournament?
I don't feel as confident as I felt in the past. I think when we did this podcast 2 years ago, we talked about the World Cup. I said they'll win it, and I really thought they would. I mean, we got close. I think this tournament, it's going to be a little bit harder. Again, we have a very fragile defense. We haven't had that in 25 years, maybe. I don't remember the last time we had a defense where we were not sure what to do. Like the last defense, I remember wondering what was going to happen. Maybe Boomsong or Mexes were in there. Ever since, I think we have always had at least 3 out of 4 defenders that we knew we could trust, and the job was going to be done. Even in 2010, when we were ridiculous, the defense looked good on paper. So I think it's the first time that we have the 2 center backs that are not starters in their club. The right back that is not going to be a right back. Pavard doesn't want to play there. Koundé has played there a bit more this season with Barcelona, but not always and not in the same tactical scheme. So I think it's a bit weird for us to come in thinking, for once, we're not the best defensive team that has somebody fast up front. We are the best offensive team, and hopefully the defense can hold. And it's something new for Deschamps as well, because he loves to have his strong defense as a base of it. So I'm not as confident as usual. I mean, we'll try and go as far as possible. And I think if we don't make the semi-final or the final, it'll be disappointing for anybody in France. But anyone who really knows what's going on and has followed the season and know what those players are doing, to me, if we get to the quarterfinals, great. If we stop in the quarterfinal, it'll be probably logical when you think about who's in that team really and where they are in their career and the season that they've had. Anything over the quarterfinal, I'll be like, wow, that's a success. Even though when you talk about just Mbappe and Giroud and Griezmann, everybody is going to think they're here to win it. We're not as complete and as competitive as we've been before.
Okay, well, as I said at the top, it's the one team that from an England point of view, I'm like, if we can avoid them as long as possible, then we can figure everything else out, I think. Hopefully someone else can knock you out. I don't know, do it for us. But despite all that, good luck for the Euros. And Jeremy, when our viewers and listeners want to find you, where can they find you online?
They can find me on Twitter at Jeremy_Magan. I've definitely been a little bit quieter this season, but I always give my 2 cents here and there. And during the Euro, I'll definitely say what I think about all the football that I've watched, and then I'll probably be here and there in a couple of other podcasts just to try and jinx France the other way around, saying that they'll never make it, and then at least I can celebrate in July and say, I kind of knew it.
That's the way it works. Well, we will be in touch when England and France meet in the final, and we can get you on beforehand, right?
Happy days.
Beautiful. Thank you for joining, Jeremy, and we'll speak again soon.
Thanks, Rory.